Well, good afternoon, sales team optimization pundits. Back with you again. My name's Glenn Guilfoyle and I head up the sales team optimization specialist group called The Next Level. Thanks for joining us here at www.salessystem.com.au. And this month we're peeling back the onion skin and looking into one of those old classics: servicing versus farming versus hunting versus trapping. Cute words, but what do they really mean and how are they actually useful in helping the sales organization determine the best and correct allocation of accountabilities between the sales and the service team? Okay, here we go. So many sales organizations unwittingly set up their sales team and the sales execs within the team for mediocre performance by virtue of, via the job description, expecting them to cover too wide a role bandwidth. So how does the sales organization actually set the best and optimal allocation of accountabilities between the sales and service teams? Well, like many of these sorts of issues, there's no one universal answer, not even an industry, channel or sector type answer. Safe to say though, it is worth the effort and it is worth the tailoring of a unique solution by every sales organisation, because we see time and again that an ill-founded set of allocation of those duties will often result in poor customer service, lost sales opportunities, and the customer service feedback that the organisation is just too hard to deal with. So, firstly, be consistent and be crystal clear with your own unique definitions of those terms. Now, if you access the written version of this bulletin on our website and click through, you'll see a link there that will give you a starting point in terms of our suggested generic definitions. So use those as a starting point to do your tailoring. It's also useful to think about these accountabilities on a pair of spectrums. And again, if you click through on the second link on the written version of this bulletin, you'll see the sorts of spectrum that I'm talking about. One which will link servicing and farming, the other which will link hunting and trapping. Now, servicing and farming share the commonality that they require a focus on existing customers. However, there is conflict because servicing, by any definition, is a reactive back foot accountability and set of associated activities, which makes planning and targeting of visits very, very difficult. Conversely, farming is all about targeting and planning and programming visits for maximising customer loyalty and revenue. Hunting and trapping share the commonality that they both require a focus on prospective new customers. But again, we find a conflict. Hunting, by any definition, will require some level of planned and targeted in-field face-to-face visit activity to close off opportunities. Whereas trapping, by its nature, will be relatively back foot, reactive and responsive, quite often desk-bound or almost retail-like, in the sense that all comers have to be served and it's whatever comes during the day. Again, making planning of visits and activities extremely difficult. Additionally, there is a higher level conflict, even at the existing customer versus prospective new customer level, when the sales organisation attempts to allocate accountabilities and create the right bandwidth for the sales execs in the sales team. Now, it is possible in some uncommon environments that all four accountabilities can be... What we see is that this set of full width, all-encompassing accountabilities is too often inappropriately applied. Thus, as I mentioned at the outset, setting up the sales team for mediocre performance at best. But how do you know which is the right allocation for your organisation? Start by engaging the cross-section of relevant stakeholders in the debate to crystallise your definitions. Leverage that by using the models and spectrum that we've alluded to in this bulletin as your reference source to run your as-is and then your to-be workshops, as again you engage the relevant stakeholders to challenge the current mores, the current allocations in the as-is world, and work their way through the possibilities of changes to those allocations in the potential to-be world. And of course, best news, we're only a phone call away if you need help. So happy accountability allocation, and remember, move on up to the next level of service and sales superiority. And I hope you enjoyed this bulletin. We'll be back again next.